Potential is as limitless as space itself. And thanks to you, the United Negro College Fund Negro cutting to waste.
Greetings, brothers and sisters. This is Yasha bin Israel. Right back at you again with one more good intellectual special. Who knows the mind of God? I started out this video talking about a mind is a terrible thing to waste. And it is. A mind is a very terrible thing to waste. I want y'all to take a look at this video right here. Let me share my screen. Allow me to share my screen. Getting right at it early in the morning. No cut, no chaser.
People to live that way. Wouldn't you like to feel another show at the wheel? If you help me join the line, you pull your weight, and I'll pull mine.
The United Negro College Fund has helped blacks fulfill their potential in walks of life where they couldn't walk before, and your contributions have made theirs possible.
We want to give our best, please understand. Please understand. We're not asking for a handout, just a hand. I see a man working harder than
No one can do it alone. Please give to the United Negro College Fund. A mind is a terrible thing to waste.
A mind is a terrible thing to waste. As I look at this commercial, and I see these commercials, what I see is black people in these commercials. It's the United Negro College Fund commercials from the 1970s. They got Ray Charles talking about he see America working harder every day. A mind is a terrible thing to waste. I want to share my screen again. I'm going to stop share screen here. And I want to go to this original scripture here where it talks about who knows the mind of God. Who knows the mind of God? Some New Testament texts here. Before I do read New Testament texts, I don't subscribe to them, but I read them just like I would read any other book. In Romans 11:34, confirms this saying, who has known the mind of the Lord? Or who has been his counselor? Who knows the mind of the Lord? And who has been his counselor? There's a scripture that lets you know that the word Lord, when it's in the Bible, in your English Bible, in the original Hebrew text, it was either Yahweh or Elohim. So if these were Hebrews who wrote that text and they had the Hebrew thought, they were saying, who knows the mind of Yahweh? Who knows the mind of Yahuwah, Yahuwah, Yahweh? However you articulate the terminology of Yod He Wah He. Who knows the mind of the Lord? Or who has been his counselor? I want to look up a scripture. I'm going to share my screen because I want to go back to that. So we're going to take our time and slow it down here. Who knows the mind of the Lord? I'm going to look this up, find out this text. Up here. It didn't go right. I'm so slow with the computers. That's Romans 11. We're going to look off into that. Romans 11, 34. Okay, I got it up. I'm going to share my screen. Romans 11, 34. I like to look into the original text. Not looking at what I mean by the original text in this sense, like just the Bible, instead of looking at the sideways information. Who knows the mind of God? Hit that subscribe button and hit that like button. It's very important to hit that like button to get me into the algorithms. It's important to hit that subscribe so I can have my own personal bank, where I can make videos and don't have to worry about promoting them as much because I have a bank of active people. Who knows the mind of God? Scripture. Share my screen here. I learned something today, too, about YouTube, where I can just sit back and relax because time is the essence. Did it pop up yet, y'all? There it go. There's some things in Romans 11. Notice that Paul was speaking to the Gentiles. And we see that in verse 13 where he said, I speak to you Gentiles, inasmuch as I am the apostle of the Gentiles. And he talked about how he magnified his office. Many of the one Western Israelites say that the Gentiles were Israelites. I don't know about that, but When I look here at the 31st verse, 34th verse, I'm having my morning blunt, y'all, and coffee. We're going to get it in. For it says, who has known the mind of the Lord? Or who has been his counselor? Who knows the mind of the Lord? Yahweh, Elohim. And who has been the counselor? Who for the Lord? God, Yahweh, Elohim. I want to back out of here and go to the scripture that says, ye are gods. Psalms 82, 6 and 7. Can y'all read that? Can y'all see that up on the screen? I'm trying to make it big. Oh, it's already big, so I can't make it no bigger. I could try to put it up in the screen a little bit more. Said, I have said, ye are Elohim. In Hebrew, that would be ye are Elohim, right? I, meaning the authority, either David or God, both one and the same, because King David knew the mind of the Lord. He was one after God's own heart. So he said, I have said, ye are gods. The authority have stated and declared that you, Israel, are Elohim. I might need to go to the Hebrew text to show y'all that. Who knows the mind of God? Right? And who has been his counselor? This is for my New Testament brethren. Who has been the counselor for the Elohim? And who knows the mind of the Elohim? Let's put this thing on the table and this question on the table, because when we go back and look at that video, right, where it talked about a mind is a terrible thing to waste. I remember as a child growing up in the 70s, you had the Lou Rawls commercial, Michael Jackson, all of these stars that America was paying to make these commercials to put African Americans in school. They were vying for the minds of African Americans. When you look at it, it was African American stars that were singing, African Americans all in the videos. It was all about them. And they were talking about a mind is a terrible thing to waste. Mind you, this is the United Negro College Fund, the UNICEF, right? I remember they used to have the torch drive and the UNICEF funds, and they would give us the torch drive pins, and we walked around proudly with that on the school. And less often you had the UNICEF. And being so young, I don't know whether the UNICEF was something that was done outside of the schools when it should have been done inside the schools, and that other shit should have been done outside of the school. The torch drive should have been done outside of the school because these are fundraisers. And the United Negro College Fund should have been done inside of America's schools. But the bottom line is, we're talking about the United Negro. The United Negro, not the Negroes United, right? But the United Negro College Fund is a college fund put together by people who are trying to represent the United Negroes, not the Negroes United. The United Negroes are the Negroes that has become one up under the beast, up under the beastly system. What is the beast? Well, the beast is the Gentile nations, right? That's what the beast is. The beast is the Gentile nations. So we go back to who knows the mind of God. Who knows the mind of God? You are Elohim's, according to the text, my people. So when you talk about who knows the mind of God, who knows the mind of Yah, who knows the mind of the Elohim, because the Hebrew text, I told you I'm going to get back to that. Says, who knows the mind of God? Who knows the mind of the Elohim? But notice that Psalms 82:6, it says, I have said, ye are Elohim, and all of you are the children of the Most High. Notice that before that and, you have a colon, meaning that this sentence actually is signifying, the second sentence is signifying the first. I have said, you're gods. Okay, to break that down, how are you gods? Because you are all the children of the Most High. Who is the you that is being signified here? The you that is being signified here is the Israelites. God forbid the nations know who the Israelites are. They are the African Americans. Let me say this best like my elders taught me. They're not the African Americans. The Israelites are not the African Americans. I'm going to say that for the record. But I want to state clearly that the Israelites are amongst the African Americans, was, is, and always will be. I have said that ye are Elohim, and ye are the children of the Most High. Why did I go back to this text? So we can understand what the Elohim is. I'm going to go to the Hebrew text. How about that? Go to the Hebrew text so you can see. I know you don't know Hebrew, but I'm going to help you through this. You're going to be Hebrew masters. It's going to be a part of the African American thought, just like the Nation of Islam and Christianity was. Hold on, my brothers and sisters. Someone is on the door, and I have to get that. Yeah, so we go over here to the Hebrew text. I'm going to blow this up so you can see it. I can't blow it up. It's already blown up. So we got to go to 82:6, right? Now, you see my cursor right here that's surrounding the 6 over here to your left? Because we Africans in English to the left, we read from left to right. Okay, and in Hebrew, we read from right to left, right? So it said, I have said ye are angelic creatures. Right now, the King James don't read like that. The King James say, I have said that ye are gods, right? Over here in the Hebrew, we read from right to left. And it says, Ani. See that? That's Ani Amarti Elohim. Meaning, I have said, who said this? The Elohim, right? Atim Wabani Eloh Elion, right? Atan Wabani Elion, right? Atam, follow the cursor here, right? Atam Wabani Elion, which means that I have said unto you, Elion, the Elohim, right? Have said unto you that ye are Elohim. Elohim. I'm circling that right there. Elohim, right? It says that ye are the Elohim, and that you were the children of the Elion. People are vying for the minds of African Americans because the African Americans are the Elohim. And if the African Americans are the Elohim, and the New Testament asks who is the counselor of the Elohim, then we have to go to the book of Romans to find that, because the Romans has become the counselor of the Elohim. You are the Elohim because you are the children of the Elohim, African Americans. And you have become enslaved, conquered by the Roman Gutian party, by the Roman Galatian coalition. The Roman Galatian coalition later evolved into the Ashkenazim Gomari Confederation. We talk about the sons of Japheth. And this confederacy has enslaved African Americans, brought them down to African Americans, for they were surely something else and something much, much, much greater prior to that. Everybody is vying for the minds of African Americans, because a mind is a terrible thing to waste. For who knows the mind of God? The people who knows the mind of God is the people who worship God, the people who lived around God, the people who know God. It's a bad thing to control God. It's a bad thing to counsel God. It's a bad thing to counsel God. And I'm going to tell you why. Because the knowledge of God has been lost. And who counsels the counselors? Who is to put in check the counselors? Who knows the mind of God? Who knows the mind of the Elohim? As we can see right here in Psalms 82:6, in the Hebrew, it says, Ani Amarti Elohim Atam Awabani Elion. It says that I have said that you are the Elohim and that you are the sons of God, that you are the sons of God, that y'all are. And because you are the sons of the Most High El, you're El, right? You're El because you're sons of El, just like I'm Ben Israel and my children are Ben Israel. right? And when my name was Whitfield, my children was Whitfield. We are El, son of El. We are the children of El. We are the children of the power. And who is vying for the black mind? The people that are vying for the black mind are those that are attempting to continue counseling the Elohim. The black mind. I tell you, the mind is a terrible thing to waste. Terrible. Terrible. And when I look at the mind is a terrible thing to waste commercial, and I want to play it again. When I look at the commercial, it bothers me. You see? It bothers me. It bothers me greatly. Because I listen to the words of the song. I know the struggle. I know the history. Shalom Tori, Simeon, the atheist killer. What's up? We're going to deal with the Corinthians chapter 2. We're going to talk about that. I want y'all to hold on for 1 second. I got to go do something real quick. We have all the time in the world. We're talking about who knows the mind of God, right? And we're talking about who can be his counselor. I told you who the Elohim were. Hold on for a second. Who knows the mind of God? When it boils down to it, the African American male, right, is the Elohim, because we saw in the Hebrew text the word bini, right? Bini, the root bin, sons of. There's a problem with people trying to control and vie after the minds of African American people, because African American mind is a terrible thing to waste, and the African American mind has been wasted. The African American mind has been wasted because the African American has never truly ever been able to use his mind here in America. He has never ever been able to use his mind here in America. His mind has been used for him. The African American has his mind has been used by his mother. His mind has been used by his wife. His mind has been used by his boss. His mind has been used by his teacher. His mind has been used by his pastor. His mind has been used by his religious authorities. His mind has been ruled and used by his gang leaders. The African American never, as a man, had the chance and the opportunity to use his own mind. And this is why I asked the question, who knows the mind of God? The counselors of the mind of God know the mind of God. They know it a little bit too much. We had to go to the book of Romans, people, the Europeans. the European people, the European nation, in the Hebrew Israelite book, allegedly. Who knows the mind of God? Just think about that, y'all. Who knows the mind of God? Who knows the mind of God? Or who has been his counselor? Who has been the counselor of God? Because the counselor of God knows his counsel knows his mind. The original counsel of God, the Elohim, had a counsel around him. We go to Psalms 82, the very first chapter, we'll see that. We go to Psalms 82, and I think I should go there. Psalms 82, share my screen, pow, pow, boom, boom. Go back there. I like to read, still like to read the Hebrew text. You see, they put that angelic crap up in there. That shouldn't even been there because angelic, the word was Elohim. It wasn't even Malachim. That was bad translation on the part of the European. You know, these his books. These are our writings, but these are his translations of our writings, which makes it his book, a whole nother book, right? So we see a song of Asaph. Blow up the screen so y'all can see it better. A song of Asaph. How long will you judge? A song of Asaph. God stands in the congregation of God, right? Let me go over here to the Hebrew side because let me get out of this full screen. Oh, I don't like the way that this navigates. So I have to go over here and I have to take it off of full screen so I'm able to read it. A song of Asaph. God stands in the congregation of God, right? So that's Mazamur La Asif, right? That's the song of Asif, right? Mazamur Asif Elohim. Elohim Nazab, as Elohim Nazab Ba'adot. Ba'ad. That's Ba'adet. Al Bakarab. 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 That's in the midst. Elohim, right? Elohim, right? Elohim Bazab Ba'ad El Bakar Elohim. It says that the Elohim, right? The Elohim is in the midst of the judges, right? It says that the Elohim he stands in the congregation, and he's in the midst of the judges. He's in the middle. So the Elohim had his own congregation. There was a different congregation than the congregation of those who counseled him in the New Testament. Because in the Old Testament, these were real human beings. Because it'll tell you down in the 6th verse that ye are the Elohim. I have said ye are creature, ye are angelic creatures, and all of ye are angels of the Most High. That's a mistranslation because right here it says Ani Almighty, which is I said, right? Elohim, meaning the Elohim have said. This is what the Elohim said, right? And it says Elohim, right? Elohim, right? Elohim Atam, Wabani, Elohim, 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 Elohim. This basically saying that ye are gods because you are sons of the Elohim, the Elion. Excuse me, that's Elion, not Elohim. Elion, Elion. These words are small. It's in the Elion. Ye, I'm circling that. That's the most high, the most supreme. Al, meaning up, high, way up. And Ali, meaning way up there. Elion, right? We are the children of the Elohim because we are the Elohim. And we go back to the King James Version, right? We see Elion and Elohim in these texts. We see Elion, and we're talking about a mind is a terrible thing to waste. I'm going back to this because I went to the Old Testament from the New to show you that our mind as the Elohim has been wasted. We have not used our own mind for our own purposes. We used our mind to appease the Euro-Gentile, the Romans, right? The Romans and the Galatians. Literally, the descendants of the Elohim, because we are the sons of the Elohim, Psalms 82:6, and we had our own council, right? And we stood, and our Elohim, our power stood in the middle, right, of the judges amongst our own council. That stuff was ours. The question that was proposed in the book of Romans, who knows the mind of the Elohim? I'll tell you, the Romans know the mind of the Elohim because they know who the Elohim is. They know that the Elohim is the African Americans. Who has been counseling the mind of the Elohim? Who has been counseling the mind of the African Americans the last 400 years plus? For the last 2,000 years plus. We talk about the Romans and the Galatians. And you go back to the Nordic remake of God video, I told y'all about the Galatians. Gaul, right? And the Guti, the Gothics, the Gomerans and the Qumri, all the League of Japheth. They control the minds of God. Who knows the mind of God? Now that we discussed who the Elohim is, and we go back to this video about the mind is a terrible thing to waste, and we go back and look at that video one more time, and just look at what is going on. The mind is a terrible thing to waste. Look at what's going on in this video, people. Wake up. Let's watch this again carefully.
Reaching for the dream that spells tomorrow. Tomorrow. Well, another generation's coming on. I see America working harder every day to educate her people to live a better way. Wouldn't you like to feel another show at the wheel?
I want to stop there. We talk about to educate our people to live a better way. I was telling my grandchildren, I can't raise y'all grown people, y'all grown ass men and women and the dummies. That's your job to raise yourself and to learn yourself, right? And to respect your elders, right? My job is to teach my children and my grandchildren, not you dumb grown niggas, right? I teach my grandchildren that when I was in school, I tell them a story about how when I was in school and the teacher would ask a question, right? I come to school to learn. I come to school to learn, and the teacher, well, you're paying attention to the teacher. She teaching you a concept, and your mind is just growing, and you're learning. And I get it. The light go off in your head. The teacher asks the question, and who knows the answer? Your hand, the first hand will go up. Ah, bright student. Teacher gets it, right? Then they add, and the teacher talk again, and she demonstrate again, and she teaches or he teaches further, and he asks a question, and your hand, the first one, will go up again. Okay, you're feeling good about yourself, right? Because you didn't come to this life, to this world, and go to school to waste your mind. And the teacher asks the question, and your hand go up again. And then you hear this dirty, bummy, low down, bully. You got something to say. Oh, who he think he is? Oh, he think he knows something. Huh? We're gonna crack some kind of joke. Or let it be known that what you're doing is not good. Because we don't come to school to learn. We come to school so our teachers can be our parents and to watch us when our parents ain't watching us. We don't come here to learn nothing. We all sit up here in this class and do nothing because of the curved system. They got to pass us off. The ignorance and the dumbness. Surely I don't think those kids were that smart to even figure out that's what they were doing. My grandson, I had to tell Cameron, Cam, let me tell you something, boy. DJ, little Dennis, let me tell you something. These boys, they go to school last week and they get kicked out of school for fighting. They get kicked out of school. We talking about 9th and 8th grade students. They getting kicked out of school because I asked Cameron, why you get kicked out of school? Why you skipping class? I don't like going to that class because every time I go to that class, don't nobody want to learn nothing. Everybody in there interrupting the class, being bad and see, they have discouraged my own grandson from wanting to go to school to get an education, to better himself. When I look on social media and your Black consciousness sector, looking at this video, we rewind all through here, right? We see Black people celebrating in politics, right? Look at that. Celebrate. Look what I've done. Look what I've done. I made it. I made it in this society, y'all. Look what we're doing. This was the goal. Look at the year here, 1977. Look what they were promoting for Black people. 1977. In contrast to what they promoting today, drill music, right? Look at the images in this commercial. I'm gonna play this again because this ain't that long.
Wouldn't you like?
Hey, I'm trying to get y'all to see what I see. Y'all young people ain't getting it. And I'm trying to take y'all back to yesteryear because what y'all trying to work with, what y'all got now and prepare forward. Ignorant of what happened yesterday for the pioneers of the Israelite movement to get your dumb ass here. I'm getting mad because a mind is a terrible thing to waste, and you Israelites are wasting it. Reaching for the dream that spells tomorrow. Tomorrow. The knowledge of the generations is coming on. He said, because he knew the mind of the black man. Look at this. You have a nurse and two doctors, two head men, right? Black men. This is just about 10 to 20 years after black people had hospitals all throughout Detroit. Do you know that black people had during 10 years prior to this, which was like segregation, right? When they were segregated, blacks couldn't go to white hospitals. Just 10 years prior to this. We couldn't even go to black hospitals. Black people had to build their own hospitals. And our hospitals had the best doctors because the mind is a terrible thing to waste. We black people came here and were doing the damn thing, y'all. We were reading books. Garfield Reed is discouraging you from reading books. Hold on for a second here. I'll be right back. You know you calling me? So, Garfield Reed is discouraging you from reading books. I got a car here. Y'all can hear that in the background. He's discouraging y'all from reading books. He's telling you that you're black heroes. See this? Let me show you these guys. You see these guys? I'm circling my cursor around. Those are black heroes. Those were guys in colleges and universities reading books. They wasn't reading books in the streets. They wasn't reading books on goddamn YouTube. They wasn't reading books in their homes. They were reading books in colleges and universities. Something Garfield Reed has failed to do because all of those degrees are fake. Enough from Garfield because he's not the topic of discussion. I only bring that up to show y'all that, like him, there are those that are vying for the black mind. The title of the show is "A Mind is a Terrible Thing to Waste." Who knows the mind of God? African Americans know the mind of the Elohim, but they chose to give their Elohim, their powers, to another. That's all the Bible talk about, is how Israel continued to give their powers to another. Israel has constantly done that. They have given their powers to another people. And these other people has become their counselors. You see, there were two different councils between the Old and the New Testament, because in the New Testament, the council of the Elohim did not exist anymore due to the sieges and the conquerings. Israel has folded because a mind is a terrible thing to waste. You know, sometimes we too happy, comfortable, using our minds for very selfish, ungodly reasons. I mean, we want to go to be guys like this guy here that I'm sorry. We don't want that. Those guys wanted to be the top scientist. And the money just happens to come. They were going to school for knowledge. My college professors used to tell me that don't think that because you come into college it's going to be easy for you. You have to learn 10 times as much as your competition, which is the European race. This their society. They uncles and aunties and daddies and cousins and uncles and aunts and even friends. They own the hospitals, right? They own the society. You don't. Being that Europeans have a sense of nepotism in America and you don't, you have a sense of alienation, right? Because of that, you have to work much, much harder, right? To get to where you want to go. But black people, we used to manual labor and physical labor. And we think that if we work harder physically, that we're going to get to where we want to go. But you got to understand that that is not how it worked. They want your mind. They don't want your body. Because if they got your mind, the body will soon follow. And if they can't have your mind, then they can't have your body. Back then, if they couldn't have your mind, they'd kill you. And even today, if they don't have your mind, they get rid of you. Pretty much like how the teacher in school was teaching her class, and then it was your own peers that made you look bad because you wanted to come to school and use your mind. The average person loves learning, right? Only a fool like being dumb. Only a fool like not advancing. Only a fool can be content with not exercising his mental muscle. And that's called the mind. Because the mind is a terrible thing to waste. Hit that like button, please. Please.
On that shelter road.
Stop that. You see that little black kid with them books in his hand? And look at the music. Look how hard he was. He was working his mind. He got books in his head. He knows that in order to get to that level where that white man is at, he got to read books. That white man is working and getting paid. All he knows is that in order to get where he's supposed to get, he got to read them books. This was the agenda that was pushed today. Today, it ain't that. Today, this young black kid right here, this person right here is pushing keys in one hand and dope and guns in the other. Rapping, he got rap coming out of here, out of his mind, dope in his hand, guns in that one. Rapping hoes up here, dope in his hand, guns in this one. They told us to be all that you can be in the army, right? The American army. America told us that we could be all we could be inside of her goddamn armies. You shoot to kill, come back, and you're a veteran. But how many veterans are out there peddling KRS-One? Why? That's how I know the blood is doing this damn thing. Y'all go back and watch the video, How the Moon Governed the Sabbath, for those who are having any disgruntled feelings. The mind is a terrible thing to waste, people.
The king that spells tomorrow. Well, another generation. I see America working harder every day to educate her people to live a better way.
See that? He said that America's working harder to educate her people. They wasn't working harder to educate us, because back then black people couldn't even get grants to go to college. You can get them now. They're working harder to educate her people. And whites, Europeans, blacks had to pay for their own education back then. And that's what this is, the UNICEF, the United Negro College Fund. Today, anybody can go and fill out a grant and get college money, funding, free. Because America back then was working harder every day. Back then, at a time when black people had to pay for their own education, blacks was doing it. That's how you got images of that man and that black man that was here, right? This is how you get that, because those men were working hard and they had to pay for their college. You got it free right now, and you don't even want to go to college. You don't want to look up a book. You rather watch Garfield and guys tweet Chris Harris, right? I mean, come on, man. What happened to your Anthony Browders, right? What happened to your Ishaka Musa Barashangos, right? Come on, people. What happened to your Dr. B. Yacanas, people? YouTube has made it feasible for people to vie harder for the black mind. We talk about who knows the mind of God. Everybody who's vying for the black mind knows the mind of God. And I'm saying that you are God, black man. You are the Elohim, black woman. I'm telling you these things. The African American Israelites are the Elohim. And you are the black minds that people have been vying for, because you don't understand that you are the Israelites. You don't understand that it is you. It is the very power and essence that is in you that rules this world. You are the ruler of El. And if you ever act in your capacity, the world is yours. Whose world is this? The world is yours. Slick Rick. How many of us felt like that? You ain't supposed to just feel like that. That's the way it's supposed to be. You ain't supposed to have these feelings. The world is yours, just like the world is everybody else's that lives in it. But you can't have that feeling that the world is yours. The world, you have to have the feeling that you're just in this world, that you're a sojourner, right? And that you're operatives of another power greater than you. There is no power greater than you, Israel. And you need to go back to school. You need to educate yourselves. Y'all need to stop following the pseudoscience and the pseudoscientists, because all of the knowledge that you can learn in science, history, and mathematics, you can't equate that to the Bible. And this is the reason why it's important that all students keep their history books, because that shows you how they try to rewrite history. Keep your history books, because they'll tell you one thing to this generation, and 2 generations later they'll lie, or they'll erase. They'll omit history. The scholars of the 60s, the 50s, those that were around in that day and time, those were some of the most enlightened African American minds, innovative, that this world has ever seen. It was an organic mind. Today, we have been tricked into advancing automated intelligence, because your mind as a man isn't any good anymore. And this starts by eliminating the black man. See, when you eliminate the black man, you eliminate his mind and his mentality. You put a chokehold on humanity. All of this stuff about automatic intelligence and this technology is supposed to advance humanity. And what they're doing is using this stuff to control the mind of God. Not only is the children of Israel the sons of God, but how about this? All of humanity is the sons of the Benai Elohim. They are. All of humanity is, because we all come from Adam. We all come from the Adam. Who knows the mind of God? I tell you, those who have lived around the minds of God, those who have enslaved and controlled the mind of God, like an owner would his dog, they know the minds of God. Because see, God is not someone who sits in the sky. God is a people. God is, even in the European concept of God, it started with one man named Odin, a human. God doesn't exist outside of humanity. God doesn't have a purpose outside of humanity, because it is humans that he loved. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, remember? He don't love the ball of the earth. The ball of the earth is no different than Mars, Venus, and any other planet that he created. It is the humans and the people that he made in his own image. It wasn't just Israel that was made in his own image. It was the human family, the human race that was made in the image of God. And I'm telling you, who knows the mind of God? I hear that China today is doing away with cash. China, the Gog of Magog, right, is not China in bed with Russia, right? We talk about Gog, Russia, and Magog, right? The chief princes of Magog. The chief princes of Magog would be the oldest of the Magogians. And the oldest of the Magogians may not be those that are in the Scythians, the Russians. The oldest may be those from the steeps, the Asian steeps, before nations was built. Those that had mixed with the Korokati and have become the nation of China. It said that Japheth will live amongst the tents of Shem and Ham. He said the tents of his brethren. People wake up. They're bringing in this cashless society, people. I want to show y'all something. I ain't got nothing to do. I got time. This is my off day. I'm going to stop sharing screen there. I want to go to Facebook. I want to show y'all some stuff. Right? Let me go on Facebook. Show y'all something. Show y'all what China out here doing right now, y'all. You don't have a mind anymore. They're vying for your mind because they don't want you to use your mind anymore. They want you to sell dope, use dope, right? They want your mind to be used. They don't want your mind to create like an Elohim should. They want to control you. I'm gonna go here to share my screen. I'm gonna have to go to my YouTube page, my Facebook page, show y'all some things. Share my screen. Bam, bam. Go to Facebook. I'm gonna scroll down. I shared a video I want y'all to take a look at. Uh, I'm using the fair use law. I told y'all to watch Terry. I told y'all we was gonna do a video on this. Y'all better watch me. What I want to go to? Here we go. See, this video wasn't far. This is a video, right? And I'm letting y'all know here that I'm not a Christian, but it seems like China has a very anti-Christian agenda, right? Even them doing against Jesus. I'm not a Christian, but even them doing against my Christian brethren and not respecting religion. You see, Christianity has talked about a mark of the beast, and all Christians should go against the mark of the beast. But they're vying for the mind of the sons of God. They're vying for your mind. The mind is a terrible thing to waste. Starting with the African American. There's a hierarchy. Okay, we're going to watch this video here. Hey, Dana. We'll see that. And they are. Uh-oh. Whoa. Whoa. Now, with this cashless society, right? They've been saying this, and Christians have been afraid of this for years. And you have this is the problem with godlessness, right? Because there's a scripture said that we can read that. It says, "The wicked shall be cast into hell, and all nations that forgot about God," right? And what I'm saying is that it's a dangerous thing to forget about the Elohim. The knowledge of the Elohim has been given to this world. The knowledge of the Elohim has been given to this world, and it has systematically been stopped and controlled. Hold on for a second. I gotta go answer my mother for a second. Hold on for a minute. I guarantee you. I guarantee you, if I'm not recording, you won't call me. Yeah, so we're talking about these we're talking about how these people are trying to control the minds of God, right? How these people who have counseled the minds of God and fighting for the minds of God. Who are the minds of God again? We talk about these African Americans. You got to excuse me, y'all. I'm over here over my mom's house. My mother's bedridden and she needs my help, and I can't, until like she die or something, you know what I'm saying? I'll never have freedom unless I just put her in a nursing home or something, but uh being that that's the case, I just have to explain my case. I got all day. I don't have no limitations on my time, right? So I have to let y'all know that these interruptions is just going to be because this lady just don't get it. She don't get that I can have an hour or 15 minutes or 20 minutes to myself, But anyway, and these interruptions are just going to take place, and it's sad, unless I put her in a nursing home. Okay. So we're talking about, in that case right there, just vying for the man of black men, vying for the minds of the children of God. Who knows the mind of God? Who even know what God is? Only those who seriously study the Bible and the scriptures know. And this case that what I'm going through right here, I can't even make a video because somebody is constantly vying for the mind of God, right? And instead of sitting your ass down and being controlled by God, you want to sit up there and constantly try to manipulate God through manipulating his sons, starting with the black man. And that's just real talk, man. If you got these young kids running around here, they got this talk, my boy. What up, my boy? What up, my boy? I took care of myself. I was a vegetarian for a long time, so I don't. I look old, but I don't look old. I can't pass with the right clothing and stuff like that for a very young man, right? And I go in the store and I buy something, and the young guy in his 20s, he give my money back. All right, my boy. Yo, who? Man, I'm like your granddaddy age, dog. You talking about my boy? And I see the Arab walk up to the Negro, a much older Arab walk up to the young Negro. Yeah, what up, my boy? He give him a dap. What up, man? What? Who knows the mind of God? Those that are at war with Israel knows the mind of God. Those that are true intellects, they know the mind of God. Those that read the Bible know the mind of God, because you can't go too far off into science and don't start questioning God. You can't go too far off into history and start not questioning God. No real discipline of knowledge can you get so far to where God not become a question. We're talking about who knows the mind of God. I'm telling you who knows the mind of God. Satan knows the mind of God. Satan is an agent of God. Uh-oh. Many have constantly told y'all that. Who knows the mind of God? There's constantly a war for the human mind, especially those that are in the hierarchy of humanity mentally, and that is the African Americans. The Chinese dominate business. The Jews dominate business. The Indians dominate business. The Arab dominate business. The African Americans don't dominate business. He dominates his own being and his own life, which causes others to follow him naturally. We're talking about who is vying for the black mind. Because the black man is the mind that gave you God. Black mind is the mind that gave you Elohim. The black mind is the mind that gave you the Bible and everything godly and holy. Right? And if they can control that mind, I ask the question, who knows the mind of God? Let's get back to this video. That's right. Stop. Now, you know that China has exited itself outside of America's dominance, right? And China, as a nation, and she has the right, has created her own economic system. And this system has the potential to be the next dominant ruling class financial system in the world because China has clicked up with a League of Nations, and it's called BRICS for Brazil, Russia. Remember I told you Gog and Magog, right? Brazil, Russia, India, China. I think it's is it Korea, and it might be Spain if I'm not mistaken. BRICS, a League of Nations, and it's this. Understand that China created Bitcoins, right? Cryptocurrency. The Chinese created that, and they created that to collapse the economy, right? China is trying to become a world class leader, and not. She already is a world class leader. She's trying to become the world class leader without American dominance. Okay, and that's what China is trying to do. China is going to Africa, big places. India, China has the biggest populations in the world. Exiting out of the European common market is the reason why everything is going up. These countries are no longer allies with America, and they are about to join league with China. China has a foothold on Brazil. I was watching a video about that just the other day, and we can take a look at that. China has a foothold on Africa. We're talking about Akon, and Akon was over there building a city in Africa, right? And this city was high tech, right? High tech city. Talk about Africa now. This is very important. Africa is teaming up with China. Africa was not a part of the acronyms in BRICS. There's no A in BRICS. China is over there trying to develop Africa, trying to colonize Africa to set up this system. This is the reason why America is collapsing. America economy is collapsing. I tell you, America economy is collapsing, and I ask the question, who knows the mind of God? Who counsel the mind of God? Who could counsel God? Who could be his counselor? Well, I tell you, those who believe that they are your counselors, those are the same ones that are your oppressors here. Oh my goodness, what are you saying, Yasha? I'm saying that the counselors, and I'm talking code talk here for those who have an ear to hear. I'm saying the counselors are dumbing you down because in the midst of the world wars, they, your counselors, do not want you to stand up. Whether your counselors be China, whether your counselors be the Anglos, the real mind of God is being challenged today. Let's go back to this video. Religious freedom. We can stop there and exit there. Stop sharing that. Okay. Bitcoin is a Chinese infiltration of the stock market. Y'all people better wake up. Well, surely that China has an agenda against America. China has an agenda against America and and when you collapse a country, the first thing that you do is that you take over its currency by infiltration of that currency. You counterfeit that currency, or if you don't counterfeit that currency, some kind of way you dominate that currency. And they have a lot invested in America to be able to dominate that currency. So there's a war going on, and the other thing that they do, which is the first thing that they do, is that they go after the minds of the people. I'm going to say this, and I'm going to end this program. They go after the minds of the people. The first thing they do in going after the minds of the people is that they attack its religious system. you know and this is the reason why there's a very strong anti-God agenda in the world today. That being that, an anti-black man agenda, and a black man that has God in him is a threat. But that being that, I'm going to end this show because the builders are here and they're finna finish this deck I got out that's about to be built, and we don't need that noise in our show. That being it, I'm going to end the show. We out. So shit. There's a difference. I honor my mother, but when she started getting fucking ridiculous, then shit started getting out. Yeah, that's not my. That's a part. That's a fault on her fucking part, not mine. And she needs to start taking accountability for her fuck ups.